Strong looks different for each of us, and it's time to put focus on our unique journeys that get us there. This space created weekly is for athletes to improve their mindset in order to better navigate challenges that come up in sport and in different seasons of life. On this show, we ask the questions that lead to better answers and have the conversations that truly matter. This is the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Hey, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Excited to have you here for yet another episode of the listener Q&A series. A lot of these questions today are focused on navigating life and finding balance within your training. How to do that when maybe you're in a rocky season of life, you've got a lot going on. How do you balance being able to put in a harder training block with also navigating a tough season of life? So excited to provide some perspective on these questions because they're definitely different from the ones we've gone over in the last couple of weeks. But before we jump into that, let's go ahead and talk about the Becoming Your Strong moment of the week. I have to give it to one of my favorite people in the entire world. Yesterday, I was on my last training run of this half marathon block with my race partner, BFF, Olivia. And I am just so proud of her. Like, her and I giggle about this quite literally all the time of how we're tired of people like running circles around us and how we just try to fit in with like all these really fit runners all the time. And it's just not the thing that we're really good at. But like, freaking A, we're really good at running after the shit that we're really bad at, you know? And it was just a fun moment yesterday to be on the training run with her and just to see, after just the few runs that we've done together on the longer side of things, like just to see how confident she's gotten, how, I don't know how much more enjoyment she's necessarily gotten from it, but just you can tell that her energy and her like confidence, it's shifted. And there was a really funny moment where this gal passed us on the path and Olivia like shot a look back at me and I was like, do you want to go chase her? And she's like, yeah, kinda. And so I was like, go get her. Like, that's perfect. Like, I love that for you. And just getting to like watch her like run in that way and push herself in that way. Like, it was cool to me. And I think that the thing that I just want to get at here is don't go after the things that are easy. Go after the things that are hard. Go after the things that you know would push you in your character and who you are as an individual, because those are the like moments that like that's what life is all about, truly. And it's just been really cool, as silly as it is, to watch her take on a half marathon training block and watch her become just a new version of herself that's going to be stronger and fitter and faster and just a better version of Olivia. Not that the original version wasn't great, but this is going to pay off for her in more than just a physical standpoint. It's going to pay off in so many other ways. And I'm excited for her to see that and to also get to cross the finish line next weekend, because I know that she's going to do it. She's going to finish her first half and it's going to be amazing. So I just wanted to shout that out for anyone that's maybe like on the fence of thinking about, you know, like what am I doing next? Like, what are my upcoming goals? Maybe being fearful of doing something that is going to truly challenge you and something that you're not necessarily good at. Like, this is your sign to just jump in and allow for it to happen. Because at the end of the day, what you get out of it might not be what you originally planned, but it's exactly what you needed. And I think that this is exactly what she needed to just become a better Olivia and a better athlete. All right, let's jump into the 3 questions that I'm going to answer for today. Again, just all around, I'm going through a tough season of life. There's a lot that's going on. I'm trying to navigate it while also being an athlete, while trying to maybe train hard. And that's actually what the first question is all about, is how do I train hard while navigating a stressful season of life? The first thing that I would consider when it comes to this question, just to put this out there, is that the body does not know the difference between the physical strain that you're putting on it and the mental stress that you're putting on it. It takes it all in as one at the end of the day. So if you find yourself in a more stressful season of life, you have to consider that, right? Maybe it's not the play to be doing a super intense training block to add on to all of the strain that your body is already taking on through the life stress. Another thing that I would think about and I would start to consider in tandem with that is, what does training hard actually mean? Like, what does that look like? Because I know when I personally hear that, I think of intensity, but you might look at that differently. So I would just get on that same page with yourself and define what that actually looks like and think, does that modality of training actually fit into this current season of life? Here's what I will say overall, taking those two things into consideration. If I could recommend anything, if you feel like this is you right now, it would be to stay consistent in the fundamentals, especially when life is throwing you some curveballs, right? What I will say is, when it comes to consistency, that might not be what it looked like in a previous season where you were able to do upwards of 6 days of training a week, where those training days had 2-hour-long sessions. Maybe now the season of life is calling for 5 days a week that are capped at 45 minutes tops, because that's what you have. And now you're like tasked to make the most of it. I know that's where I'm at right now. I used to have that luxury where I had several hours during the middle of my day to do the things. And now it's like, nope, I got to squeeze in what I can in my little like time pockets, and I'm going to make it work, right? Because at the end of the day, here's what I've learned is that if I wait to check the box off perfectly, I'm not going to get anything in. I would be missing out on the 3 to 4 hours that I could actually get in. Maybe it doesn't look like it did or like I ideally wanted it to, but I'd be missing out on those quality hours stacked week over week, day over day, because I was too busy trying to be a perfectionist, right? So don't sabotage yourself of that time. Don't devalue it, especially because what's going to come with it is a whole lot of guilt if you're getting nothing in there, right? Last thing that I will say on this is to make sure you're taking care of yourself. These seasons where life gets hard and things are on the rockier sides, like, it's inevitable. That's life. And it is important that you give yourself the grace to not hit a training plan perfectly. If you know that you are coming into one of these seasons where life is going to test you a little bit, beautiful. Plan ahead for it. Think about what is going to make you happy. What is going to keep you sane? What will your measure of success be? And what is the realistic way to hold yourself accountable to that? Those are some really important questions to that. I know I have some clients right now that are dealing with that, where they've got a new workload. They started a brand new job and things just look different. And so again, their measure of success has to shift because of that. And they also need to think about, okay, maybe this isn't the season for me to build. Maybe this is the season for me to maintain. And there's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean that I'm not moving the needle. I'm still staying consistent to the fundamentals. But at the end of the day, I'm staying in the game, which means I'm not going backwards. So maybe I take a chill pill on doing these super structured training sessions. And for my mental health, I go and I take a class here and there, because being with community not only keeps me consistent, but it makes me happy, right? And so those are just some things that I would truly consider. Just please make sure that you're taking care of yourself and that you have these definitions of what success looks like for you, what, being productive looks like for you in this season of life, because that's going to make all the difference for sure. All right, next question. How do I deal with guilt when I miss training sessions? That's a really good one. What I will say is the guilt is not the enemy. It's what you do with that guilt that is. Does it sit in your head holding you hostage of all that you will not become because you did not do that one freaking session? Or do you think, I'm going to let this drive me to prioritize, to schedule better, or whatever the case is, right? Whatever caused you to miss the session. How can you better prioritize to make sure that you can get that session done in the future? If this is a session that truly does move the needle, great. Look at your upcoming week and pencil it back in. And I know that's so much easier said than done, but when you're in time crunches, you have limited time to train because you're doing all the things. This is a skill you're going to have to learn how to do anyways, right? Where you're going to have to learn how to prioritize your efforts and realizing that you can't do everything, right? You don't have the capacity for it. You got to sleep, you got to eat, you got to be a human. That's important too. You can't just take up all of that time with trying to hit all the training boxes, right? So it's going to be prioritized at some points in your life to learn how to prioritize your efforts. I also want to bring to attention to that maybe missing that session is exactly what you needed. And let me further explain on that. Maybe that session would not have served you mentally or emotionally. And instead, it was better that you gave yourself the space to put your energy elsewhere. Like maybe you've been running yourself ragged into a wall or down into the ground. And maybe it was better for you to just not, to be with your people, to watch a movie and freaking veg out. Like maybe it was just better for yourself being mentally, emotionally, and physically at peace and not trying to throw it into the freaking ringer right now, right? Overall, the bigger picture here is that are you upset about missing a single training session, or are you noticing that this is becoming a bigger trend that is therefore leading to a negative habit? And that is what you're actually worried about. If it's becoming a trend, check in with yourself. How are you really doing in your life? Why is missing these sessions or missing sessions in general, why is it becoming more and more of a habit? Do you maybe need to sit down and think about your why again and revisit the whole freaking point of being on this athletic pursuit in the first place? If there's anything that I've learned about life is that when it throws you curveballs, it's because life is trying to teach you something, right? There's something to be learned. There's never something to be lost unless you choose not to listen to the lesson that's being presented in front of you. Maybe you going through this difficult season and getting frustrated and feeling guilty is exactly what you need, because you need to wake up and realize why you're doing what you're doing every single day. And if you don't have why, if you don't have an intention, well, maybe that's why you're being stopped. Maybe that's why you're getting yourself caught in front of all these closed, locked doors. So look at the bigger picture here and think about, are you keeping yourself from becoming a better person? Are you keeping yourself from learning certain things? That to me is what I would look at over like, okay, you missed a single session, not a big deal. I can't even tell you how many sessions I've missed in my life. And it probably was for the better because, again, I either learned something or I got to take care of myself in the way that I really need to take care of myself. All right, last question here. When is it okay to pull back versus when should I push through? This is a vague question. I'll be totally honest. It's kind of more on the broad side. And the lens that I'm going to answer this from is, how do you know when you should pull back, maybe from the training schedule that you're on or how hard you're pushing within a specific workout, and when you should pull through to like try and complete everything, right? This is a tricky question because the name of the game is truly consistency. So when you hear that, it is easy to want to always push through everything, just so that you can say, I checked the box and I was consistent for the day. And that can be a really slippery slope. What I would say is I would go back to the intent of the session, of what it is that you're actually doing in that moment, and making sure that A, that there is one, and if there's not one, that's a problem, and B, that it's going to jive with your current season of life. If you are doing sessions without any intent, and you feel like you should be doing them because someone told you should, or that's what the person on Instagram that you admire is doing, or maybe you're just feeling guilty if you don't do it, then I would say that's a problem. And you might need to take a step back from your training and revisit your goals and your why. If you are going through a tough season of life, but you are clear on what these sessions are doing for you, how they're going to play a role in your life, how they're going to, push the needle forward for you, then push through. But with the ability to give yourself a little bit of grace for modifications. So maybe if you show up that day and you're feeling a little bit of lower energy, give yourself the warm up, right? Give yourself the opportunity to take the first step without any judgment, without any obligation. See how you feel and say, hey, I know that I can't make it through in this way today, but I'm going to commit to getting through. Instead of 3 rounds, I'm going to commit to getting through 2, right? And knowing that at any point in time, if I notice I'm going downhill very, very quickly, that I have the chance to pull the plug and reroute. That to me is much healthier. And that to me is more of that's a way to push through things versus I'm going to push through and do things exactly as written, because again, there's that ego, there's that guilt. At the end of the day, you guys, if it is guilt driven and you are feeling like you have to do all the things to be successful, my gut usually tells me to pull back and reflect, and maybe yours should tell you that as well too. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. I hope that this was helpful in just helping you navigate life stress while trying to become the best version of you, the best athlete version of you. If you have additional questions, follow up, you know where to reach me. I'm happy to answer questions on Instagram or bring them here live onto the podcast. But until then, you guys, I will see you guys next week for another episode of Becoming Your Strong. See you then.